Carrington from New Zealand. Coming up to the last 30 metres, Lisa Carrington looks like she's going to take the victory, but Rachel Cawthorne in lane number 7 is really pushing it forwards. As we come over the line, it's Lisa Carrington takes it in 4, followed by Rachel Cawthorne and Yuzu, the Asian Games champion. We hadn't talked about her much, but she came through for, looks like a 3rd place.
Nice race from all the girls there. It seemed like that spread a little bit. These conditions may have affected some more than others. Lisa's fairly used to relatively cool conditions in New Zealand, so she once again has dominated this array of races, World Cup 1, 2 and 3. Very impressive in the K1 500.
Yeah, I think it's pretty hard to carry such good form across all 3 World Cups, 3 weekends on the trot. Is quite impressive to be so consistent, so she'll be very chuffed with that going into a long period now before Worlds to prepare.
One of the girls on the line in lane 8, Michelle Russell from Canada, she's held some fantastic form as well. Really, really fast out of the blocks and very smooth.
Confirmation of the results. Lisa Carrington takes the gold for New Zealand in 1:59, Rachel Cawthorne silver for Great Britain, and Yuzu for China takes the bronze. Racing thick and fast here, live from Copenhagen. Second event is the K2 Women 500 meter A final, and again we have some double ups here. It should be cracking racing. The Germans, the ones to look out for, they were looking very impressive in their semi-finals and heats, and of course we're looking at the Olympic champions today. That's in the first one, Jessica Walker and Rebecca Simon. Rebecca's very young, 18 years old. It'll be interesting to see how she goes, but Jess Walker was 17 when she was in the Olympic Games.
Yeah, it's a relatively new pairing. We see the
Lani Belcher, Angela Hanna. Lani Belcher's on a winning streak at the moment. She won the 5,000 metres last week, and then she won the K2 200 as well. The Russians, it's first time together, by the way. They're trying all sorts of experiments this season to see how things go.
Chinese in lane 5, managed actually by a former head coach in Australia, Marty Marinov. So the Chinese are doing really well.
They've had a good season so far.
Yeah.
Indeed. And the local, Henrietta Hansen, usually a K1 specialist over 500 metres, but joining Emma Jorgensen for the K2 this weekend in front of a home crowd. They've come out to enjoy the show down here. There's a lot of locals out in their very warm weather gear, or cold weather gear.
That's a new picture. That's Jorgensen and Hansen. They have a slight age gap. I believe is it 14? Yes, 14 years difference, but it didn't stop them taking the K2 1000 gold in Moscow last year in the World Championships.
We saw them trying out a very unusual looking boat earlier in the week. Nello have come out with a new design. You'll see that porpoise looking reverse bow nose. Looks like they've gone back to the original boat, the Quattro.
So in lane 6, the white German hull coming out. There's 2 German hulls next to each other, the black and the white, and they'll head out the field. You can see that they're just squeezing away already.
I was speaking to them yesterday, and they said they're delighted to be back together again. Last year they tried their hardest but didn't really go together. There's Tina said she spent too long in the army, which is now out of, and Francisca was trying other things, but they said they're absolutely delighted to be with each other, and it looks like it's showing.
Totally. Matching headwear as well.
That was a friend. The little ladybirds also in their boat. They have Lily, which is a little bee, and they have Londinia, who is a little dragon. They're their lucky charms that they wear every time since London. So there you go.
Very cute. You can see there's 2 great British crews in this race. Lane 1 on the far side, and lane 3, Jessica Walker and Rebecca Simon. New pairing, only been together for a few months or less than a few months now. And obviously some really great form in Lani Belcher and Angela Hanna, having won the 200 last weekend in Duisburg. And they're showing relatively strong form in lanes 3. I think they might have a decent back end to show, but it looks like the Chinese have taken it up to Francesca Weber and Tina Dietz.
Well, it's coming up to just less than 150 metres to go, and there are still some boats in it, but Germany are definitely saying, we want this race. They've led from the beginning. They're putting their young Germans in their place, but in lane number 5 as well, we do have China, who did well. They took a gold in the K4 in the Asian Games, and the K2 500, the girls together took a silver. But it looks like at the bottom of your picture, Britons are coming back. No doubt about who's going to take the victory. It's going to be Germany, very close for second. It looks like it's going to be China, and the Great Britain, Lani Belcher and Angie Hanna have taken the bronze.
It looks like Denmark have taken the bronze.
The locals. Emma Jorgensen and Henrietta Hansen won that bronze. That was a nice finish from the locals. They had the locals on their side. Fantastic finish.
Yeah, they always finish well.
It's a real hard race, the 500. You're bound to hit the wall somewhere in the race. It's just about how you manage that and how you stay composed. So you see different crews using their strengths in different areas. Speed off the line. Some others have a great back end or ending to the race. But generally, to stay composed, keep your head still, keep the body moving, is really important in the 500.
Really tight finish for third and fourth and fifth there.
Good to see the locals getting on the podium.
Yeah. You can see from that timing there's generally the backseat paddler is just in front of the front seat paddler to take a little bit of pressure off the stroke.
Well, they're calling the result. Jeremy from China, and as you all said correctly, it's Denmark who came and took the bronze medal.
It's hard to tell here.
Belgium in sixth, Great Britain in seventh, Great Britain also in eighth, and China in ninth. Could the team leader from China, so team leader from China, please bring some clothes, so some tracksuits for the medal ceremony, please. So the team leader of China, please bring tracksuits for the medal ceremony.
Altså her damernes sko 200 meter blev til en dansk sportsmand til Emma Hansen. Men til og Mar og førstepladsen til de olympiske mester på den disciplin, synes jeg faktisk, at det ikke er årets.
As you can see, there's a slight wind here. Will it favour certain lanes?
It looks like it's swirling quite a little bit, so in any given lane during the duration of a race, you could be experiencing something different to someone else. So it's really looks like just luck of the draw. As you can see, sweeping kind of gusts going across the course. So I guess it can be a little bit unfair, but generally it's coming from as a headwind. I mean, the athletes will really enjoy coming, to the closing stages of the race where it flattens out a little bit. So that's where you're hurting the most, and that's where the lactate starts to take over. So, yeah, look, it's probably going to be different for different people in different lanes.
Just describe the track, because it's not your traditional city centre concrete basin, is it?
No, look, this lake is quite open to the elements. The first 500 of the course is sort of in a bit of a belly, in the belly of the lake, and is probably a little bit more open to that crosswind that can be a bit prevailing here in Copenhagen. We were chatting to some locals earlier, and they said from the west is generally the wind direction, which is sort of this cross-haired type direction. But the final closing 200 is relatively protected by the tree line and also the sort of basin. We are quite happy.
Just to clarify, it's Jesse Phillips and Steve Bird, and your discipline that you've chosen is the K2 200. That's why you're happy with the last 200 being okay.
We have chosen the 200. It's
or has it chosen you?
It's I guess it's a bit of a marriage, but no, we're pretty happy that we won't be experiencing the brunt of the wind. But this lake is great. It's quite versatile. You can experience pretty incredible conditions around the back, where there's a canal which actually runs along the outside of the lake, connecting three of the big lakes here, and it's amazing. And it's dead flat, no matter what the wind's doing. So we've actually been spending quite a bit of time in there, just getting our starts right and things like that.
Yeah, look, it's when you said whether the 200 chose us or we chose it, I think it was a bit of a serendipitous advantage for us at 2009, the end of 2009 World Championships. They decided to bring the 200 metres into the Olympic program, and the first half, or the first part of our 500 or 1,000 metre race back in the day, when we were still K2ing together, was always our strongest. And so it was almost natural that we would choose to have a go at the 200 back in 2009-10. And ever since then, I think we've sort of more and more fallen into the 200 metre space and really taken it by the horns and run with it in Australia.
And we'll see how you perform later in the show. It's a slight delay. We are doing a medal ceremony now. It's going to be for the first event we've seen, which is the women's K1 500 meters. The way it works is dignitaries lead out the athletes, then they're presented with medals. This is a really lovely setting. It's right in front of the grandstand, and it is just a few meters, as you can see, in front of the lake. So it's going to be interesting to see. Well, the presenting the medals today is the ICF president, Mr. Jose Peronina.
We present the medalists of the women's K1 500 meters.
And Gordon Walker, the team leader of New Zealand, will be handing out, not for the first time, the flowers, I guess.
No, he's been busy over the last couple of weeks. Yeah, it's quite interesting. If you're in the A final, your team manager comes up to you and says, "Can you prepare your team tracksuit and your runners in case you are on the podium?" And yeah, I guess you kind of
Yuzo
have to be
steps
hopeful.
up. She has a really, really good pedigree many times. We're going to be seeing her later in the schedule with the K1 1,000 meters, but so far, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, she has a gold medal from the Asian Games, which for the Chinese is infinitely more important than any other event. And it's great to see the first British medal of the day. It's Rachel Cawthorne. So she's really stepping up to the mark now. She takes the silver medal.
It's been a really great progression for her. Last week she had a really great hit out in the K1 500 in Duisburg, and this is showing that she's in really good form to be that close to Lisa.
That's how you judge them, isn't it, really?
Oh, absolutely, it is. If you're within a boat length of Lisa Carrington, you're in a relatively good space.
Lisa Carrington from New Zealand.
Lisa Carrington steps up for New Zealand to take the gold medal in the K1 500 meters. Clearly later in the program, we're going to be seeing her in the K1 200 meters as well.
Please rise for the national anthem of New Zealand.
The lineup for the K1 men's 1,000 meter final, and you have some serious names here: Max Hoff, Adam van Koeverden, Rennie Holten-Poulsen, and a lot of pretenders who want to come and take their crown.
Well, there's certainly a lot of pretenders in very, very good form. Alexei Mokolov, was in fantastic form last week in Duisburg. Martin McDowell, his second A final for the World Cup Series. He's in some really great form coming out of New Zealand. There's been a little bit of turmoil in the 1,000 metre selection, and he hasn't got any team boat paddlers to join in the K2 or K4 this World Cup Series, but he's doing really well in the K1. We've got Adam on the far side of the course in lane 1, and there's Marty there. I was just speaking about, all in black, the stealthy black bomber from the Kiwi land, Alexei Mokolov.
Again, he won, we're talking about the Asian Games, it's very, very important. He actually won the Asian Games gold this last year. Max Hoff is, last weekend rather, in Duisburg, he was describing it as his perfect race. his 1,000, the tactical and everything. Laurens Pannenkoek, he's in stiff competition, but who's going to go for the Olympics? But we'll see the reason why in a couple of seconds. Moabet from Tunisia has been putting in some good form. Rennie Helton-Poulsen disappointed himself because he was ill last weekend. So in the 1,000 metres he struggled a bit, and in the 500 he pulled up. Arthur Peters, 18 years old, and he's going to be a real threat for the future against Laurens Pannenkoek and Alberto Ricchetti from Italy.
Yeah, Max is extremely good at waiting in the chambers. Hopefully, I think from what it looks like, he kind of enjoys having someone kind of next to him hitting it out. He waits in the chambers and then pulls the trigger at the end.
Well, last week his tactics were very much to go at about the halfway mark. He puts in really past the third quarter because he said there's no point in leaving to the end. That's too tiring.
Yeah, we were actually joking earlier this week. Because this is where Rennie Poulsen actually trains twice a day almost. So we were kind of wondering whether that's why he's got quite an unusual technique with quite low hands, and we were thinking it was probably because all the wind on this lake. He's adapted to training on this lake, but I'm pretty sure that's not the case. But
I have to see. I'd say he was on penicillin last weekend, and hopefully I spoke to him yesterday. He said he's better, but obviously these athletes are not going to really say they're not.
Exactly. Yeah.
It looks like Mokolov has hit the lead early stages, leading into the 300.
Well, he came 7th last weekend in Duisburg, and as you mentioned, he's got some.
Yeah, indeed. Adam's trying to hit. Probably been a little lacking in form compared to what people would usually have seen him deliver, and probably trying to find a little bit himself today and really hit it out. I know he's an incredibly talented athlete.
Arthur Peters hitting the front almost now.
Well, the coaching staff in Belgium are saying there's going to be a real interesting next 12 months to see if Pannenkoek, who is the main man, is overtaken by an 18-year-old.
Yeah, well, I think this will determine whether Laurens paddles the K1 or K2 at the World Championships, and then thereafter. Arthur Peters is impressive, really. I mean, taking it up to Max Hoff, world champion and Olympic bronze medalist.
Speaking to him after the event last weekend, he said the fact that they've changed their coaching structure. He said he's had a great 7 years for the last coaching structure, but the fact that they're new, fresh, he's happy, he's smiling again, and it's happy days. Because last year, obviously in the Worlds, he didn't do what he wanted.
No. It was I suppose it was an interesting year in that the Czech paddler Dostal won the K1 1000. Everyone probably wasn't expecting that, but and him himself.
Anyway, here's Max Hoff. It looks like he's decided on the same race plan. It's easier as last week. He makes his move at 500 metres and doesn't say catch me if you can. He just says bye-bye.
Yeah, this looks like a time trial demonstration run by Max, even though his face probably says otherwise. But wow, what great length out the front. And
in lane number 7, it looks like Rennie Helton-Poulsen in the Red Bull boat is also keeping up there, and Arthur Peters is shadowing him remarkably well.
Yeah, look, this side is potentially favoured. You can, from where we sit, we can see that there's it's a fairly glassy side to this lane 9, 8, 7, and Rennie is taking full favour of that and probably trying to push Max at probably about a half boat length behind at this point, but.
Well, they're moving into the last 150 metres, and it's Max Hoff. It looks like he's upping his rate. Rennie Helton-Poulsen looks like he's going to take second, and we have the 18-year-old who is really putting down a mark. But coming into the last 40 metres, it's Max Hoff who's timed his race to perfection again. Rennie's going to take the second for Denmark, and in lane number 8, a remarkable performance from an 18-year-old.
Yeah,
incredible,
very impressive. And the Tunisian Mohamed Rabet in 4th place, just in front of Ricchetti.
And I don't know if it's significant, but Laurens Pannenkoek came a distant last. Maybe he decided to save his energy for another day.
Yeah, sure. Stuck behind, in between Mohamed and Max. Not a great place to be if you're not feeling great. So. Unfortunately for Laurens, but Arthur has shown his class in the Belgian K1 ranks. potentially a little bit tough for Canada's Adam Van Kerveden and Marty McDowell from New Zealand taking lane 1 and 2.
You can just see them coming up to the finish now. But he's on remarkable. He looks healthy and happy and confident.
He's probably fairly used to having turbulent conditions in that he's a white water paddler as well.
Confirmation of the result. Max Hoff for Germany takes the gold, Rennie Holton Poulsen for Denmark takes the silver, and Arthur Peters for Belgium, named to look out for the future, takes the bronze. Going from K1 1000 to C1 1000. Look at the start list. I suppose eyes are automatically put down to lane 5, Sebastian Brendel, but Mark Aldershaw's been giving a run for his money so far this season, and Ilya Stokolov has a great pedigree. All athletes in this obviously look to do something special. This is quite unique, in fact, this weekend. We haven't had any qualifications. These are only the 7 athletes entered.
Yeah. Seems a little strange. They usually fill out at least 2 or 3 heats in the C1000 metres.
This is a real challenge, this boat, to keep it going straight at the best of times, and now we've got quite turbulent winds. So
Wang, in your picture there, he's 22 years old. In the first World Cup this season, he came 6th, I believe, and in the 5,000 metres came 5th. But
you can see that those trees are really getting pummeled with a bit of this wind that we're talking about. We crossed to Ilya Stokolov from Russia, just coming up to the line. A few minutes till start. Just trying to manage that crosswind and figuring how the best way to keep his boat straight.
with the C1s, they obviously don't have the advantage of being able to wear a spray deck, so their boat is quite open to the elements. Lane 3, Carlo Ticini.
Looking forward to a home World Championships later this year in August.
And the big man in lane 5, Sebastian Brendel, the Olympic champion. He knows how to win. I don't think he'll be perturbed by these conditions either.
And he was delighted last weekend having seen off the young pretender from Brazil, Isaac Quiros dos Santos, who won the 500. Mark Aldershaw, we've seen his father very active, helping the chaps in the boats this morning. He had so far, he cleaned up in the first World Cup, but Brendel wasn't there present, and he medalled last weekend, so he's been on good form. And to keep it going for 3 weekends in a row, it shows some style.
Yeah, race fitness. It is tough to back up weekend after weekend, 3 in a row.
Mark is really consistent. I mean, since the Olympic Games, he was bronze in London, and he's always on the podium. He's fantastic.
A couple of chaps we haven't mentioned yet. There was C1 Chen, who's 21 years old. He actually came 5th in Montemor this season in the C1 1000 rather. No other major international results. And we didn't mention as Banks Gerasim Koshnev, who he won the C4 in Duisburg, so hasn't. This is his first chance out. But yeah, those wind conditions look interesting.
Really challenging for these guys, and I think they'll be doing their best to maintain as much speed in the first half, because that sort of is the most challenging part of the lake, being so open to the elements, and then the back half they'll really start to try and steamroll it. But you have to be in it. You know, they'll need to be getting out really fast, particularly with Brendel and Aldershaw in the lineup. These boys move real fast, and they're very, very consistent. So if they don't keep in touch, then they'll be well and truly gone by the flatter water in the later part of the race.
And can you see an advantage for the lefties or righters?
Looks pretty head-on, so no. I reckon it's
maybe a little bit for the righties, but
just because you can see the two favourites, Brentel's left and Aldershaw's right.
I dare say their skills in the boat will not really determine any favouritism. I think they're both incredibly adept at dealing with wind from either side. most people try and train themselves in varying conditions to deal with these types of race conditions.
Maybe another internal battle going on here with the Chinese as well. As I said earlier, our former head coach is now the head coach of China, Marty Marinov, and he is he's a former bronze medalist in the C1 at the Olympic Games. So obviously his expertise doing good things in China.
Well, they seem to be there. They brought 29 athletes over to the first event. They just had a few, 6 or 7 there last weekend in Duisburg, and a good team. But they've been, if you look through the results, they've been taking a fair few medals. Well, they're off for 4 minutes of pain.
Yes,
Indeed.
I'd say over 4 minutes. I'm going to predict. You can see there,
Stokolov from
Sokolov catching the crest of a wave right out of the gates.
Taking it up to Brendel though early on. Aldershire is one of those races that generally has a fairly even pace throughout the race, so you shouldn't see him try and attack the win from the start, but more maybe grind them over the last half of the race.
Well, I know Stokolov can swim because I was watching a video of his Russian Cup exploits the other day, and his boat sunk.
Never a good thing.
Maybe they need to invent a spray deck for the sea boats.
Yeah.
He was quite smiley, but yeah, he had to be picked out of the water. Anyway, it looks like Sebastian Brendel in your picture in lane number 5 for Germany is really putting down a marker, but keeping his wake almost. It's Stokolov. And at the bottom of your picture in lane number 9, it's Geshem Korshev, who's also holding to them.
Yeah, you'd say a very, very marginal favour to the left-hand lanes, or the closest lanes to camera. The wind is arguably a little bit stronger from this side. And it just builds up over the lake. You know, the further you get from the source of the wind, you're going to create a larger swell pattern. So those guys in lane 1, Riwei Wang and Carlo Ticini, over the back of the picture, will be really struggling with that side chop.
Well, so far it's a 2-horse race, Russia against Germany. And Stokolov's really putting some good pace down there. With lane number 9, Kochnev keeping in there. He's not losing pace. Mark Aldershire 3 or 4 lengths back as we speak, and you see him in the middle of your picture. Yeah,
the grey boat just squeezing into picture now. As I said before, it is quite hard to maintain really good race fitness over 3 consecutive weekends, and Mark's probably feeling the effects of that at this point. He had 2 great regattas, World Cup 1 where he won, and then last weekend he was second. Awesome results for Mark. But you know, to hold that type of form for 3 weeks in a row is really hard for anybody.
Which
even,
is why
even
Lisa's
Max Hopp.
Yeah, Lisa and Max, fantastic.
Yeah. And Sebastian Brendel so far, let's see if he can keep it going. It looks like certainly he's having a run for his money today. They're coming into the last 400 metres. This is, I guess it might start hurting a bit more than before.
Yeah, it will. And as we've said, they'll be coming into the sheltered part, so they'll be pretty happy that the worst is behind them in terms of conditions. But yeah, the trick is here is the J stroke, the exit of the stroke, to keep the boat going straight. We've actually had a go in a sea boat before, and that is the task really. Is to keep it going straight, and you'll notice they flick their blades out of the water at the end in a J shape to keep the boat going straight.
Yeah, but they don't have a rudder though, so you guys have it easy.
We do have it easy, and we get to sit down. We don't have to balance on one knee. We take our hats off to them. Sebastian
Brendel, 27 years old, so I guess he's got a few more years at the top, but he's really having to really push it forward because there are still 3 boats in the race. At the top of your picture in lane number 4 is Stokolov, and at the bottom of your picture in lane number 9 is Gerfim Kochnev. Sebastian Brendel has about a boat's length ahead coming into the last 150 metres.
Lane 9 coming home really, really strong. Wow.
Yeah, it looks like he's really wanting to push for that first place, and he's not far behind Sebastian at this point. But Sebastian's upping his rating since the sort of 200 metre to go mark, and he's really starting to. He's a true champion, and he'll hold form from here. Well, unless he falls out, he's got 50 metres to go, and it's very clear that by a boat length, Sebastian Brendel is, but he's being attacked from lane 9. Look at this, very, very close. It's coming close. It's going to be, it's very close at the end.
Wow, what a fantastic effort by Kochnev from Uzbekistan.
Stokolov takes the third with Chen coming in 4th. So yeah, look, relatively spread race with only 7 boats in the final. You sort of expect that, I suppose. The depth of field in the C1000 this weekend is
I wonder if what Sebastian Brandl will be saying with his coach when they review the video of the last 10 metres.
Well, between him and Max, they seem to just have that on and off switch. You know, if someone's challenging them, they just turn it on and they burn to the line. Maybe they have the same race plan.
Win.
But look at this, coming up the impressive performance.
Yeah, he uses his body so well. He looks like he's got such great mobility through his back and his hips. I mean, these guys really have to have such a great reach out in front. You can see how much functional movement they get through their hips and their back. So,
and
oh, look at he's like
a little annoyed there that he didn't get him on the line, Kochnev.
Just waiting for the confirmation of the official results. It was close, but I don't think it was that close. Sebastian Brendel wins by 0.4 of a second for Germany, takes the gold from Kerasim Kochnev from Uzbekistan, takes the silver, and Inlas Stokilov, who was up there all the time, takes the bronze medal for Russia. Well, it's going thick and fast here in Copenhagen. When I say Copenhagen, we're about 30 kilometers outside. That's another story. Looking at the K2 men's 1,000 meter final. And I guess if we look for the last week or so, it's going to be Germany in lane 4 against Australia in lane 6. But the others might have something to say about it.
Yeah, look, there's real talent in that Polish boat, Rafał Rozalski and Bartosz Stabno. They're a crew that are certainly not going to fall down in the middle of the Germans and the Aussies. They'll be hard to match in the first half, the Aussies, and the Germans are such a pressing crew heading through the lineup now. You can see all the guys, that cross chop.
The Aussies are really rugged up with beanies, and this is quite unusual for us actually, racing in these conditions, so it takes a bit of getting used to, paddling in so many layers.
The story so far of the season is very much a case of the Australians. They won in their second ever race as a pairing, which was Kenny Wallace and Lockie Tame. And then they came second behind the 2 athletes seen in your picture, which is Max Rentschip and Markus Gross, who are the Germans who were 2013 World Championships, fell off a bit in last year, and talk us through the race.
Yeah, look, the really great stuff from the Germans. They're in form after winning last week, and a really powerful performance over the Aussies. But our boys have real ticker, and they'll push them real hard until the sort of 200 to go, I dare say, and we'll see what happens from there. But certainly the middle 3 boats, as I said, the Poles, Bartosz Stabno and Rafał Rozalski, pushing in between the crews of Germany and Australia at this point. Everyone else is generally in a bit of a line.
Generally with Lockie and Kenny, I mean, they've got fantastic speed in their boat, and obviously we know Ken Wallace has got fantastic back end to the race, final kick, so Lockie will be relying on Ken to pull them over the line, and Ken kind of relies a little bit on Lockie's speed at the beginning of the race to keep them in touch.
It's just total confidence, isn't it? I'll get you through the first 200, you get me through the last 200, and somehow we'll go through the middle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's not like one relaxes while the other does the deed. It's a great combination. It works extremely well.
Markus Gross in the back of the German K2 on screen is a phenomenal junior athlete. He was world champion in the K1 500, K1 1,000 metres. I remember some of the times when he was an under 18 athlete were phenomenal. Would have been a final senior level.
You were at Junior Worlds with him?
I wasn't. No, he's a little younger than me. I was back in 2003 in Japan. He would have been 2007, I reckon. Maybe it was 2007 in Moscow.
Rachitsa, I think.
Rachitsa, yeah.
Czech Republic.
Anyway, we're seeing that it's exhibition first 500 metres.
Yeah, look, really squeezed out to a decent lead now, the Germans. the race will be on for second and third.
And you saw in lane number 2 at the top of your picture, a new combination again from the Russians. The Russians are trying new combinations in pretty much all the events, apart from the C1 200.
Sure. The Russian team's always got fantastic depth, so when you've got a lot of paddlers to work with, it's a no-brainer to have a go at different combinations.
But so far it's going to be 210 metres to go, and Australia are they sitting back or are they holding on?
I think they're comfortably in second there, but they will certainly be kicking. Kenny doesn't give up in that last 200 metres, that's for sure. He'll be thinking he can still take that gold medal, and rightfully so. The pole's looking comfortable, maybe a little bit of a challenge from the Russians in Dmitry Ekimov and Nikolai Chervov for third place.
Looks like Ken and Lockie have upped the gear.
But the Germans are not holding back. They're coming into the last 100 metres, and it's not going to be any dispute who's going to take the first place, but it's going to be a dispute who's going to take the second. It's going to be Russia or Australia, and it looks like Australia have really put down the charge in the last few metres, but no doubt the winner by nearly 2 boat lengths is Germany, hand in the air. Australia come through second, and Russia take the third with, in lane number 5, it's the Polish pair that we talked about a lot, and then the next 4 boats pretty much all in the line.
Yeah, relatively young crews. Filling out the rest of the, or development crews filling out the rest of the field.
These guys are no stranger to fist pumping in the air. Germans generally, I mean, they've got 3 gold medals today. It's fantastic for them. Great race.
Super controlled, great technicians, keep the power in the water the whole time. Run the boat really smoothly, and you can see how comfortable they look.
Would they be useful in the 200 metres?
Well, they'll be lining up in the 200 metres, so we'll see how fast they can run the boat in the first 100 metres of the race.
I think they paddled the K4 200 in Duisburg. Did you see them on the line?
Yeah, they did. They were in the front of the K4, one of the German boats, and I think they placed 4th or 5th. So they can certainly take the rating up.
Confirmation of the official result, unofficial rather, but I think we'll see what happens here. Germany take the gold, Australia take the silver, and Russia take the bronze medal. You see there's a slight wind here that looks like a bit of a headwind as we speak. We're sitting just above with the best view in the house. It's a great facility here, which is going to be knocked down fairly soon, because apparently there's a grant of 12 million euros being issued, and they're going to reshape the lake, and they're going to do all sorts of things. So the bird watchers might not be too happy, but if they negotiate themselves through that,
maybe they can put the finishing tower at the other end, 'cause if it's a westerly wind all the time.
Well, where we're sitting now, probably about 40, 30 metres in front of the flags. Apparently this is going to be where the lake's going to finish. So it's quite an ambitious plan.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, look, this is a beautiful area. It's so well structured around the nature and the landscape. And hopefully they can do it with great ecological sense.
All the hard work is about doing your best performance, and if you do better than the others, you tend to win a medal. And we're going to have the second award ceremony coming up, and it's a rather special occasion here in Denmark, because we do have His Royal Highness the Crown Prince Frederik of Denmark, who is gracing the event with his presence this morning, and he's going to be handing out a medal, so that's a bit of extra special for the locals.
Oh, that is very special for the boys.
It's great that Rene could get on the podium for Denmark.
The medals will be presented by His Royal Highness the Crown Prince of Denmark, Frederik, and the team leader of Germany. Bronze medalist Ilya Sokolov from Russia.
Well, 18 years old.
Oh, I think they've got that wrong.
They called the rush.
Arthur Peters from Belgium.
That's probably the famous sense of humour.
That's
wow,
brilliant.
this is an amazing result for an 18-year-old to get third. Just
And he's
so
with
controlled.
good company. Let's see if the Olympics, it could possibly, theoretically, be the same three.
Yeah, throw a few others in the mix, and it could be a very tight tussle for that podium next year, even later in the year for the World Championships.
I think he should take his hat off for this, but there you go.
From Denmark.
He's going to take his silver medal. So it's the Crown Prince, and he is taking hat off, good man.
Yeah, respectful of the Crown Prince.
They seem to know each other.
Yeah, it seemed like they've had a coffee or two. Danish pastry, at least.
No doubt about
And World
The
Cup
winner.
Max Hopp from Germany.
it's Max Hoff from Germany. As you mentioned, he is a former whitewater champion, so the slight waves won't bother him at all.
No, he looked like he just ploughed on through them and didn't give him too much respect. So very impressive performance from Max, and he's a really colourful character on the tour.
Please rise for the national anthem of Germany. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause to the 2015 World Cup medalists.
Well, they're not small, are they? Three athletes standing on the podium.
No, well, Max is about 6'5". I didn't realise how big Arthur was, but he's not too much shorter.
There's no way that's not going to happen.
Here's the selfie coming out. Rene's pretty good at those.
You should probably just get a selfie stick.
I think the selfie stick would be perfect for that. I'm not sure if they're banned in Denmark, but the Crown Prince should have got in that shot, I reckon. He would have enjoyed that.
But you see them walking off the podium having a chat. Oh yeah, there is the selfie. So the Crown
There
Prince
it
having
is.
a
What
selfie
does I say?
with the,
There it is. On cue. Thank you very much, Rene.
It's good to see the crowd getting out, even though it's pretty chilly.
Minus
I guess it
15 out there.
doesn't really affect.
Well, it's been
affect the
forecast all
locals.
week, hasn't it? So it's not. And apparently it's. Well, they say it's a bit like Melbourne when you can have 4 seasons in the same day.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, it has been showing a little bit of that.
Yeah, the locals are pretty. I mean, we've been quite amazed.
Well, it looks like a flat lake, but there's a slight breeze, isn't there?
Yeah, look, it looks beautifully tranquil on this side next to the cameras, but heading further out deeper into the lake and onto the course, there's quite a stiff breeze for the paddlers to deal with, meandering from a sort of crosshead to a direct headwind, but creating certainly a fair bit of jump around.
It looks like the Crown Prince is going out on the boat. Yesterday, one of the boats unfortunately sethered all the starting gates, so let's hope that doesn't happen again today. So looking back over the best of the action so far.
You're looking after me. Thank you.
Next event is the C2 1,000 meters final, and again it's a mixed bag. We saw last week, Germany's Peter Kretschmer and Michael Muller, who'd been together for 4 weeks, come through against stiff German opposition. What are we going to see today? I think on paper they must be the favourites.
Yeah, up against Benjamin Russell and Gabriel Sevigny, and from Canada, Luca Incolingo and Daniela Santini. They're taking the 3 premier lanes, 4, 5 and 6, into this final. But I wouldn't count out the Uzbekistan, Vadim Menkov and Serek Bebekov.
I couldn't find much about them racing together. Obviously, we have Menkov, who won the Worlds in C1 1000 in 2009, 2010.
You'd think that the power of the man will prevail here, but we'll see.
The Canadians will be good in
these
lane 5. They were at World Cup 1, I think, as well. World Cup 2, and this is their 3rd one.
Yeah, we were talking about Ben and Gabbage, their mates. It's Montemor, they took the bronze medal, and in Duisburg they were 4th.
Yeah, so similar to Mark Oldershaw, 3rd World Cup. Really testing on the form, so hopefully they can get out strong and hold it. It's a little bit easier to keep these boats straight in a pair.
You see Kretschmer in the front of the boat there. He is clearly the Olympic champion with Kurt Kuschella, who apparently didn't do as well as he hoped in the trials. So that's why we
see
saw
Michael Muller in the back there. Yeah.
Well, I say Peter Kretschmer saying last year, I mean, he got some good results and he toyed around in different events, but he said he wasn't really motivated and it wasn't really happening. Then he suddenly it's clicked with a new partner.
That's brilliant.
Happy to be racing again.
Sometimes that happens. It's one of those things that me and Steve hold pretty close. We're very happy to connect, you know, in the double as we have in the last 8 years of our partnership, and certainly a strength. Sometimes you jump into a boat and it just does not go as much as you want it to. You can see the conditions there just beyond the Canadians.
Well,
John Spence and Paul Bryant, pretty wild, even for the ducks.
Certainly the roughest part of the course is the start.
Well, they're all safely off.
Great start by the Canadians in the green boat. I mean, Germans, they got similar tops.
All eyes are going to be, I imagine, on lane number 4, which is the German boat, which I mentioned they performed so well together last weekend.
And the Uzbekistanis, Menkov and Murbekov.
Well, Menkov's his calling card is always come and catch me if you can.
Sure, looks like it's the same one here.
Whether he's in his performances, he's dominated also in the C4s and the C1s, and it's good to see him. He's not that old, by the way. He's been around for an awful long time. It's good to see him still competing at this level.
So, Matt, if you had to choose, would you rather sit on your bum and paddle or balance on your knees?
I play kayak polo quite a bit, and I spend most of my time upside down. I'm not scared of the water.
Oh, that's brilliant. Played a bit of that. It's good fun. These guys are running the boat nicely into this wind. It's nice to have a following boat on the side of the course, giving this live footage. Really great justice here to these guys. They've done a lot of work. They want to see how they're racing throughout.
How does it change the fact that most venues, there's the coaches who are on their little bicycles going along screaming to make sure they justify their salaries, whereas on here you can't hear anything?
No, it's that far away. It really comes down to the athlete at the end of the day. I mean, the opportunity for our coaches to intervene throughout a race is quite minimal nowadays. Maybe in more domestic competitions, but World Cup We don't see nearly as much calling from the side of the course, and I think it is outlawed in international competition. Here in Copenhagen, this lake is quite broad, so most of the watching has been done from hundreds of metres across the lake, and we can only really see the quality as you see on the screen now.
There's a couple of colleagues of mine who are going to be out on the boat for probably 8 to 9 hours, and they're saying pretty much well wrapped up, but they do a remarkable job with the conditions. Anyway, the actual race is the C2 1,000 metres. They passed the halfway mark.
The Canadians are up there.
Yeah, this is really, really great challenge from the Canadians in the back half of this, and they'll be taking him up to the Germans. I think this will be their trot, so fairly impressive from the Canadians to be touching up the Germans like this.
And they would have recalibrated according to the conditions. They might have changed their paddle length or the way that they paddle. Generally, you want to keep a longer stroke going into the to have more pressure on the water, get a bigger impulse on your stroke. Whereas with the tailwind, you really want to get that stroke rate up.
Well, coming with 220 metres to go, it's going to be a close race. There's still at least 3 boats in it. The 2 that you see there from Germany and Canada making their move, and in lane number 8 in the white boat with the black trousers, it's the Uzbekistan team also looking to do something.
Yeah, look, they look really smooth, and they've been up there from the start. They'll certainly be pushing for a medal, and if not, they'll challenge for the win on this probably fairer side of the course.
Could we be seeing gold medal number 4 for Germany?
Remarkable display. Well, coming up with about 80 metres to go, and there are still 3 boats in it. The Uzbekistan at the bottom of your picture pushing forward, and they could be leading it at the moment, with Canada taking over from Germany. I think it looks like Germany has spent. Who's going to take the gold? It's Canada. Uzbekistan want it perhaps the most. It looks like Uzbekistan are going to take it. Ahead of Canada, and Germany has spent force this time.
Impressive from Menkov and his partner Murbakov. They certainly have the talent in that boat, and great finish. You can see how pumped he is.
It's good to see.
It is. Warmed into that race very nicely. The Canadians would be disappointed to get that pipped on the line. I thought they had the Germans covered, having been the early leaders, the Germans.
Well, they did.
And yeah.
It often happens when there's a bit of a tussle going on one side of the course. It allows, an outlier to just stick to their race plan and do their own race and not get caught up in that jostling.
Well, that's what we want. We want suspense here.
It's been some really tight racing this morning.
Well, the last 50 metres, they really decided they wanted to look at this when he's won. We had him from here.
I guess the benefit of being in a kayak compared to a canoe is that you can just relax after your race. You don't have to worry about falling out.
Didn't help the French last week in the K2
Confirmation of the result. Uzbekistan take a wonderful gold, Canada take a silver, and Germany take a bronze medal. Well, some lucky people are having a little bit of a cruise on the lake. Not many. I think there's 2 and a passenger. Right, it's perhaps not the ideal day to have a cruise.
Not the ideal place for a pram either.
Coming to you from Copenhagen. It's the 3rd and final ICF World Cup of the 2015 season. A lot of the athletes will be going to Baku in a couple of weeks' time for the European Games, and then all eyes are really on Milan in August for the quota places. And what I'm talking about is the quota places. That about 74%, I believe, of quota places are up for grabs for the 2016 Olympic Games. And there's the Crown Prince Frederik of Denmark, who's enjoying a relaxing cruise.
Yeah, I'm sure he's had probably came down here for his childhood swims and a bit of canoeing earlier days. In the back canal yesterday we were having a a session, and we saw a few canoes with a lot of children from the local school getting taken out and shown the wilderness, and I think it's a fantastic culture that they're breeding here in Denmark. It looks like it's really working, that everyone seems very happy here, even in the cool weather that we're experiencing.
Well, certainly hospitality were picked up from the airport, chauffeur driven by often it's the parents of the upcoming athletes. Hotel accommodation fantastic. Everything is really, it's perhaps a little small scale, but it's really. Thank you very much, and it's great to see.
I've been particularly impressed with the lunches here at the course.
It's self-service; you can have as much as you like.
Oh, it's brilliant.
We've certainly had worse course food.
Yeah, that broccoli salad with cranberry is a delight.
Well, as soon as after this happens, we'll have to
Go to lunch.
Run off for some lunch. There's a slight before the award ceremony. Let's have a look back at some of the highlights we've seen so far. Germany we were going to say a fault this morning, but they just fell slightly short with a couple of minutes ago we saw the C2 1000.
There's Uzbekistan C2, really fantastic effort in the C1 1000 and the C2 1000 to claim a gold and a silver medal.
Good day at the office so far for Uzbekistan.
Later in the program, these guys will be on screen paddling the 200 metres to see how fast they can go over the shorter distance. They really dominated that K2000. Aussies determined paddle to finish second again.
Talking about Aussies, how is your form?
Well, this will be our second World Cup this series, having paddled World Cup 1 in Portugal, 6th, and last weekend in Duisburg we were split up for a selection trial to test different combinations from Australia, and this weekend we'll be racing again together to see if we can better that 6th place from World Cup 1. We're feeling pretty good. It's early in the season. We've got sort of 12 weeks to go until the World Championship, so plenty of training to do after this weekend.
And when do you head back down south?
So we're actually staying in Europe now. We're actually going to go and train in London for a while, for 5 or 6 weeks. So we're actually not going back to Australia in between now and the World Championships.
Sebastian Brendel has found his tracksuit.
Mine damer og herrer, medaljeøjsen herre C1 over 10 meter.
Ladies and gentlemen, we present the medalists for the men's C1 1000 meters.
It's the medalist for the men's C1 1000 meters, a legend in C1. In the middle of your picture is Istvan Vaskuti from Hungary, who is ICF first vice president, going to be giving out the medals with the team leader from Germany, as we saw.
Looks like we're going to get used to this German anthem today.
And the bronze medalist, 28-year-old Ilya Stokolov from Russia. He was, for half of the race, he was very much in it, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did fade towards the end, but maintained a relatively decent rhythm to hold on to third. Thought it was going to be challenging for the gold, but Brendel just put the gas on in the final 300 or 400 metres.
And in silver medal, he was hoping for the race to be 10 metres longer. Gerasim Kochnev from Uzbekistan, as we saw, the way he finished his last 20 metres was quite spectacular.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in amongst the top 5 at the World Championships later this year. He looks like he's in really good form. It's always a good indicator of the World Cups.
Well, this is he's cleaned up this season in the C1 1000 meters. Of course, it's 27-year-old Sebastian Brendel from Germany, who is going to receive the gold medal.
Please rise for the national anthem of Germany.
Sebastian Brendel, yet another gold medal to his collection. Clearly he's the reigning world and Olympic champion.
Doesn't look like that form will be ceasing between now and the Rio Games next year. Very, very consistent performer, Sebastian Brendel.
Well, here we go, the start list for the K1 Women 1,000 metres. It's not an Olympic event. This far this season, I believe we have had, out of the possible 27 finalists, we've had 25 different ones. We had Mirja Vers Larsen, who's already competed, and is it Yuzu who's already competed? But apart from that, the girls are really mixing it and matching it, and we have to look out for lane number 4, because Dora Bodyoni from Hungary won her heat by a country mile. I think about 13 seconds earlier today. Lisa Sawyer's obviously very, very good. The longer it goes, the better she gets. And some interesting athletes here. 18-year-old Tamara also competed a few minutes ago in the K1 500. Una Vasco from Finland also in the mix in this race.
It'll be an interesting spread, this race. Louisa Sawyers, as you've mentioned, is quite competitive over the 5,000 metre event. She's also seated in the back of the K4 500 for the women. British crew. Mirja Larsen hopefully taking some tips from her husband, Erik Vers Larsen, in the 1,000 metres. So she could execute the plans he usually did, then she won't have a problem here.
Tamara Takat, as we saw her a little bit earlier in the K1 500, she's still only 18 years old, but she did dominate in the marathon, so it's going to be someone looking to be good. Dora's 21 years old, and Mirja Larsen, as you know, she has a great family history. So far this year, she was in Duisburg last weekend in the K1 1000, and she finished 5th. Yuzu, as we mentioned, she's already been in action so far. And the second Chinese athlete is Jamie Kang, and in Montemor this season she came 4th. Emma Bodberg, a young athlete. She's been on the edge of the team for some time now. And Emily Peterson is, I believe, in the marathon here in 2013. She took the bronze medal in the K2 Junior. In fact, I know she did.
No stranger to the lake then, in these conditions. Notice she's not wearing a spray deck, which is quite interesting. Maybe she's got a pump in her boat.
We'll have to see. The fact that it's non-Olympic, I guess the pressure to perform is off, but they'll be certainly wanting to do their best.
Oh, certainly personal pressure is going to be premier here. They all want to do their best race and execute their plan, get to the finish as fast as they can. Some really fast start from lane 4, Dora Bodyoni and Yuzu.
Louise Sawyer's also coming up there in 2nd place.
Yeah, I think the fastest you can start, the better off.
Is a really good position for her.
For her finish, for sure.
Well, setting a good early pace, a boat length clear as we speak.
Yeah, they're certainly spreading the field, and Louise is trying to stay with Dora here. She's doing a good job, keeping a nice rhythm. But really nice high hands, good reach out in front from Dora Bodyoni.
Running the boat well and using her body, the leverage of her legs to whip the blade through.
great stretch through the lap there, and you can see the boat rolling side to side, just really getting good workload through each leg and pressing the boat through the water.
Interesting to see how much Yuzu has in reserves of energy, because earlier today she came third in the K1 500. The other athlete who has already competed was Tamara Takac from Hungary, who came 7th. So to back this up, I guess you guys train quite hard, but it still must be quite tough.
Oh, it is. Look, backing up within an hour and a half in these types of this quality of racing in World Cups is always a difficult task. So they'll be feeling the squeeze. She'll start to feel the squeeze, Yuzu and Tamara Takac, in the second half of the race. They certainly will be warm. That's one factor. Louisa Sawyer's just lost touch with Dora Badonyi at this point, and getting touched up a little by Tamara Takac. Look for a strong finish from lane 5, Mira Larson in the green boat.
Well, yesterday at lane number 4, I mentioned a couple of times that she just wasn't threatened at all. So it's a similar sort of attacking. I suppose if you believe you're the best, there's no point in waiting for the others.
No. Set the pace, let them follow behind.
Even got time to have a look.
Maybe she's just trying to eye off that broccoli salad for lunch.
With cranberries.
The only other international result I could find was that she was in 2014, the Szeged World Cup in the K2 1000. She took the silver, so obviously a new talent. There's just so much talent coming through Hungary, isn't there?
Constantly.
And by the way, Hungary, they have a lot of the top athletes are not here this weekend because it's very important. They have their trials continuing this next weekend. So that's really, it's all about Hungary. It's all about the internal battles.
Indeed.
But it's starting to tighten up. Has she gone too early? Where there was before a 2.5 boat lengths lead, now it's come down to 1.5 boat lengths lead, and it looks like at the top of your picture they are not quite out of it yet. There's Vasco and there's Louisa.
The race for
Sawyers.
second is hotting up.
Yeah, I think Louise has got some good run into this final 100 and looking good to play it out with Tamara Takac.
Yuzu also coming up from China with the bright orange deck.
Well, coming into the last 50 metres, there's no doubt about who's going to win it, but who is going to be second? It's Finland from Great Britain, from China and Norway. And China coming again, so it's going to be 2 weekends in the same medal, two medals in the same weekend.
I'm going to call it Yuzu second and Louisa Sawyer's just a very tight third in front of Dora and Mira in 4th and 5th.
No doubt about the winner there. Exhibition stuff this weekend. To other categories.
Yeah, she'll be able to transfer a lot of that power and back end of the 1,000 metres into a really great 500 in years to come.
Danuta Kozak, who haven't seen her this season. Clearly she's the world champion and the Olympic champion. She's other priorities, I guess.
Yeah, she'll be saving herself for the world championship.
You called Louisa Sawyers. I don't have to concur with that. It looks like she's taking the third.
Quite an even start from the girls. Maybe Una Vasco got left behind a little bit on the line, but from the outset, Dora Badonyi was just set her intention and went for it. It was an impressive display.
Notice her relaxing her hands at the end of the stroke. A lot of tension and that paddlers get stems from the tension that you hold on your paddle, which then refers through your body, through your arms, and you can actually lose quite a lot of power like that. Means quite a bit to her as well. It's good to see.
Means a lot to her cardiovascular system as well, it seems.
Well, here we are. Dora Badonyi from Hungary takes a gold. Yuzu, second time of the weekend, takes the silver medal this time. And Louisa Sawyers from Great Britain takes the bronze. Spectators going backwards and forward. It's about a 300-meter walk from the main hub where the grandstand is. It's a natural grandstand made of grass layers back to where the athletes are going to be. So there's lots of activity. Some have bicycles, but most are walking. You can probably hear in the background where we're leading up for another ceremony. You'd think it's midwinter by the faces of the Australians.
Well, normally they would be wearing quite a thin podium tracksuit, but looks like they've gone for the big jacket.
They're going skiing next weekend.
Yes.
And it's the K2 1,000 meters, the same first two as last week.
Yeah, holding such great form, Ken and Lockie in the K2000 this World Cup series, winning fantastically fast time, 3:08 in Portugal, Montemor.
But there was a hurricane blowing behind. Not to belittle that. Anyway,
No,
let's move on to the podium, and it's Russia. It's Dmitry Ekimov and Nikolai Sherov.
Yeah, as we said earlier, the Russians trying out all sorts of different combinations to solidify the World Championship spot.
And it's been said a few times before, but it's a remarkable sequence since Lockie Tame and Kenny Wallace came together in this sport. They've had second in the Worlds, won Portugal, second in Duisburg, and a silver medal here in Copenhagen. So what a remarkable performance. It's not kind on Lockie's hair, but there again.
Yeah.
Looking nicely puffed up under there. They've probably got several layers on under those black Gore-Tex jackets.
But the winners have established themselves as the top pairing in the last couple of years. Max Rentschmidt and Marcus Gross.
Fantastic. They've really, taken over from Andreas Iller and Martin Holstein, who dominated as well for a couple of years too. So the Germans, when one retires, the next one comes in and carries on.
Or does he make the next one retire?
Yeah, these guys have certainly pushed the standard up around the world and certainly in Germany.
Please rise for the national anthem of Germany.
That was the award ceremony for the K2 1,000 meters, which clearly is an Olympic event, so there's plenty of discussions, I guess, going to be held in the background to who makes the best combination, because all this year is about taking quota places, and I guess the K4 takes priority.
Yeah, well, there's only one or two for the Europeans, but one shot certainly for the rest of the world to qualify K4s from the World Championships this year.
That'll be on social media within about 7 or 8 minutes normally.
Yep.
That's it.
Do you see the weather conditions slightly changing? Or?
This looks pretty set in for the afternoon program, but maybe it's less gusty at the moment. It's more just consistent headwind. It's quite disruptive when you paddle into a gust of wind to your rhythm, so I think I would prefer to just paddle into a constant headwind.
Well, we'll have a word. see in the distance, about 1,000 meters away, the athletes circulating, I guess, in making circles for the K4 1,000 meters, which is going to be the next event we're going to be covering here. And Australia, you only have a little bit of time, but what's the plans of Australia? Because they have different athletes.
Yeah, so you'll see in the lineup. So yeah, look, the Australian crew is looking changing each week, in that the young combination of Riley Fitzsimmons and Jordan Wood, having paddled really well in the K2 1000. You can see them in lane 3, lining up against the 2 German crews and the Russians and the Poles next to them. They'll be the 5 boats that will bash out for the podium, I would suggest, with Norway, Estonia, China and Canada to battle it out for that sort of 5th, 6th place, I dare say. But there has been a fair change in the K4 crew from Australia, testing out different combinations to find which will compete this year at the World Championships.
And Murray Stewart, I guess he decided before he wasn't going to compete in a 3rd event.
Yeah, look, as we'd mentioned, it is quite hard to back up week after week, and in his case, he really wanted to get back home and start his training towards the World Championships. K4 hasn't been finalised. The K2 is almost, a certainty, with Ken and Lockie having done such great work in the World Cups. You can see the boys there lining up in beanies. They're well and truly equipped. They look like they've got some vests underneath their race vests to keep the wind out.
It's a good mix of experience and new blood in the boat. Riley Fitzsimon's only 18 years old in seat number 2, and Jordan, I think, is he 20 or 19?
20, I believe.
20 in the back, and certainly able to pull their weight and also stay composed in these big races. So they're extremely competent, as they showed in Portugal and Duisburg last week.
Talking about last week, Duisburg, the Norway team that we've just seen in your picture, they actually came 9th.
Yes.
Germany is going to be interesting because there are 2 teams. They're switching the formations here. They got 2, and then the heats, they both look very impressive.
Yeah, they both won their heats.
That's correct. And Russia, there, Anton Vasilev is the only survivor from the K4 that won in the Worlds in 2013. Apart from that, they're doing lots and lots of switching. Familiar faces for those who follow this sport in Poland's team. They're pretty much the only ones who've kept it together. In the Europeans a month ago, they actually came 4th with this combination. And China in your team, they came 5th in Montemor 2 weeks ago with this combination. So we have some consistency, I guess, and with Canada, there's a lot of consistency there. They've done some performances worthy of note in the last couple of weeks.
It's a great platform for the German crews to go head-to-head in an international environment.
Well, lanes 4 and lanes 5 today, and they'll be both wearing the same gear, I guess.
Black boat and white boat.
Brady Reardon in your picture leading out the Canadians. He tried the K2 last year then in Vancouver, and he's now back in the K4 boat.
Lanes 4, the Germans have taken out very slight lead over their compatriots in lane 5, with the Poles on there, or the Russians, should I say, not far behind at all.
And when there's 4 big chaps in a boat, the wind, does that still come into it? Who gets hit the most?
Well, the front paddler gets it the most, but yeah, there's certainly a lot more momentum, which is nice in the K4. But generally, it's always going to be a longer race, and you have to accommodate for that and race accordingly in terms of spending your energy throughout the race. And most of the time in a K4, and actually a lot of 1,000-meter races, crews will do a lift at the 500-meter mark, just to restart the race almost. So it'll be 10 to 20 double strokes, which will be called. So generally in a 1,000-meter, especially K4, you'll hear a lot of hups and calls at the 500-meter mark. It's like quite a chorus.
So is your countryman, how do you see Australia going?
Yeah, look, really well at this point. I mean, I'd suggested they wouldn't be as far up the field with the likes of Russia on this near side, but they're doing a fantastic job sitting in second at the moment behind the Germans, and really
almost coming up to the lead.
The only boat to challenge them are both the German boats. They will have a really great back end to finish with Jacob Clear in seat 3. He's a Olympic gold medalist from London, and the young boys of Riley Fitzsimmons and Jordan Wood, hammering through.
Jacob Clear we'll be seeing later in the programme in the K1 500 metres, I believe.
Yep, and he'll be challenging for that podium for sure. He's
200 metres to go, and it is a really close race. Germany slightly leading from Australia, with Germany also making a push.
Yeah, this is looking as though it's going to be a German tussle for gold, and Aussies will hang on for a podium finish. But this is a great finish from the Aussies. It looks like they've really started to kick up to try and challenge for that win.
Wow.
It's going to be between these 3 boats, which is quite exciting finish once again here in Copenhagen.
Down to the last 20 metres, and it's a photo finish. Who's taking it? It looks like Germany from Australia.
From Germany. Yep.
The graphics haven't shown Australia, but they're certainly in the mix there.
Fantastic paddle by the boys.
It's a great paddle from the lane 5 German crew, sitting back slightly off the early leaders and their compatriots, and really finishing strongly to take first there, just ahead of the Aussies.
It's almost like that's almost like a 200-meter finishing photo.
If Australia finish second in the K2 200, would you sign for that?
Sure.
Yeah.
So you're not that ambitious?
Look, we just want to get out in there and have good, fair races at this point. This is our 3rd weekend on the trot, and we'll be looking to really consolidate a decent performance and make sure that we're in the top half of the A final. So you never count your chickens before they hatch.
Well, that's
really great.
Good to see 3 boats within half a metre of each other after 1,000 metres of effort in challenging, but hopefully fair conditions.
Yeah, it looked like those boats, right next to each other, they would have hit it out really evenly all throughout the race. Those young boys in Riley Fitzsimmons and Jordan Wood being led by a great stroke and David Smith, they'll be really, really happy to come away with a medal from this World Cup.
Confirmation of the result. Germany take the silver, Germany take the gold, Australia take the silver, and Germany take the bronze medal. Germany's who won, that was Schubert, Rischbach, Stonsky and Spener, in lane number 5.
Yeah, some certain experience in that boat. Martin Schubert leading that boat has been around for a fair while.
Tough task for the German selectors as well, with such close racing for their crews. There's no real outlier in their camp, so
I guess that drives everyone higher and higher.
Yeah.
va laisser dedans. On peut tout laisser dedans. Suffisamment protégé. I'm with you in a few minutes. I take care of these guys and then put the gear up and take care of
Alors ça, à l'écran, il est pas compté. Ensuite, si on met pas 0 comme la gueule, la contre la ville, moi si on met à 0, toujours programmer à 0. Non,
Ladies and gentlemen, the medal ceremony for the women's K2 500 meters will begin.
ouais. Rapide. Oui, je t'entends. On est d'accord.
Mine damer og herrer, med dette øjeblik stemme kun 2 over 500 meter.
Ladies and gentlemen, we present the medalists for the women's K2 500 meters.
C'est juste le point
Det
d'avant.
her overrækkelse af hans kongelige højhed på Frederik sammen med den tyske holdleder.
The medals will be presented by His Royal Highness the Crown Prince of Denmark, Frederick, alongside the team leader of Germany.
Nummer 3 og bronzemedaljevinder.
The bronze medalists, Emma Jorgensen and Henrietta Hansen from Denmark.
On modifie le. For you, it's finished. It's finished. We have 3 races this afternoon.
Nummer 2 og sølvmedaljevinder.
Silver medalists,
You can go
Wei
to meet
Jingren and Qi Ma
toi
from
aussi.
China.
Donc tu sécures ta caméra. Tu files un coup de main à... S'il y a des choses à...
Nummer 1 og vinder af dame K2 over 500 meter.
The gold medalists and World Cup winners, Franziska Weber and Tina Dietzer from Germany.
Mine damer og herrer, vi spiller rejse til den tyske nationalmelodi.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of Germany. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause to the 2015 World Cup medalists. Louisa Sawyers from Great Britain, please could you report to the medal ceremony? Louisa Sawyers from Great Britain, please could you report to the medal ceremony? Thank you. Medalists of the men's C2000, that's the medalists of the men's C2000.
stor, så sagt, deze dan bewezen. When the operator on se met là, comment? Gör ni det?
Det finns ju här uppe. Låter den ligga där. Nu får du hålla på.
Ja.